Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Logically Left. I'm your host, Jeff Waldorf, and I think we've got a pretty good show today. We're going to be, of course, making fun of this administration and people related to it. Of course, we are, including it, Wall Street. That is has a new name for the president. Interesting, very interesting. What is that name? I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy it. Um, then, of course, we're going to talk about something serious as well, and that is the deportations that's going on under the Trump regime. They are leading to people dying. Not surprising. So I'm going to go over some of the details on that and people being put in danger as a result of the deportation policy. Then, of course, we have more pardons. Trump using his pardoning power to, of course, reward his political allies. And yeah, that is pretty disastrous. We've got Elon Musk whining about what's going on, about people being mean to him. Oh my God, people are being so mean to me, guys. You just don't even know. Oh, how sad. And then a staffers to Representative Nancy Mace are once again spilling the tea of what it's like to work for her and some of the stuff that she had asked them to do, and whether or not she is actually the tech genius that she claims to be. So lots of interesting stuff about Nancy Mace. So with that, I guess why don't we dive in here? But before we do, I do want to thank a couple of members here on our YouTube page. I want to thank Ms. Christy Cox for being a supporter of the show. Micah Wolkowitz also for signing up and continuing to support the show through YouTube membership. So if you want to join, hit the join button below. If you're on YouTube, there are other ways, of course, to support the show on the other platforms that we're on, Twitch and Facebook. And of course, if you want to avoid all of that, you can go and sign up to be a patron at patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. All right. With that said, let's dive in. Let's do it. That's right. Wall Street making fun of Trump. And that's always fun. I don't always agree with Wall Street, or almost never agree with Wall Street, but on this, they're having some fun. And I want to join it. Traders on Wall Street are laughing at the president and his dumb strategy. Yes, strategy on trade. So, following Trump's flip flop on European tariffs, the markets did recover some of their previous losses. So, they've been going up and down and up and down as a result of all the different, we're going to do tariffs here and they're going to be so really high but they're going to pay them. And then, it turns out that no, we're actually not going to do the tariffs, at least not right now. We're going to take some time and we're going to go back on this and we're going to give them time to negotiate. Yes, that's what it is. Okay. So now after this most recent round of going back on the tariffs, the S&P 500 closed out just over 2%. Oh, that's the biggest jump in more than a couple of weeks. Wow. While the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 740 points, the NASDAQ went up nearly 2.5%. So, yeah, there's a little bit of a recovery here. Okay. Now, as a result, of course, of the roller coaster nature of some of Donald Trump's most outlandish tariff threats, like the 145% tariffs on China. Yeah, Wall Street traders have decided to coin a new term. So they're calling Trump's threats tacos. Tacos? What are you talking about? What? I like tacos. But no, the acronym actually stands for Trump always chickens out. Awesome. Now, that was first coined by Financial Times columnist Robert Armstrong and is now apparently a favorite among Wall Street stockbrokers. Look at that. And it's used to describe how the markets go down only to rebound when Trump, of course, chickens out and reverses course. In fact, here you had on MSNBC Australian economist Justin Wolfers, who took some time to mention tacos.
There was a time when the president opened his mouth when you had to pay attention because you thought it meant something, that it was a shift in policy that other countries could rely on and respond to. That's no longer the case. In fact, on Wall Street right now, and it's one level funny and another level tragic. There's a trade called the taco trade, TACO, Trump always chickens out.
The taco trade. That's right. And yes, it is both pretty funny, but at the same time, a little disastrous because you literally cannot trust anything the president of the United States says on policy, on his own domestic policy. I know politicians lie. They lie all the time, right? But like when it comes to Trump, the lies are so constant and about ridiculous things, about stupid things, that like you cannot trust anything that he says he's going to do. Anything. You don't know if he's going to change his mind suddenly and do something else, reverse course, or if someone else will convince him, be the last person in the room to be like, actually, you know what, sir, it'd be a tremendous, a very, very big brained idea to do this instead. You just don't know. Okay. Look, at the end of the day, it's a terrible way to run an economy, but it's also a terrible way to run a business, which probably explains why Trump went bankrupt 6 times. Just saying. Markets, turns out they like stability. Who would have thought? Trump is literally unstable. He is not a very stable genius, okay? And we are all affected by his instability. And of course, this has caused speculators on Wall Street to kind of sit things out, you know, because, like, I don't know, we can't trust what the president says, so we can't exactly speculate on the market here. And so, yeah, we're just going to sit out. One of them is Solomon Fiedler, an analyst from the German bank Berenberg, who wrote this last month, by the way. While threats by Trump are not unusual, shocker, given the damage the U.S. would do to itself with this tariff, he will probably not follow through. Well, I mean, he was right. He was absolutely right. Trump's trade strategy is just him punching us in the face over and over again while he tells us how great things are going to be. Okay? Oh, this is going to be great. Yeah, I'm punching you in the face, but it's awesome. Oh, now I'm going to stop punching you in the face now. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Never mind. I'm going to start punching you again. That's what's going on here. Okay. No, we don't want this. We want trade policy that makes sense. Obviously, this is not it. This doesn't make any freaking sense. I mean, why even make the threats, the massive tariff threats, when he has shown over and over again that he's just going to back down anyway? It doesn't make any sense. At least it would have made more sense for him to do the, 145% tariffs on China. And I'm not saying that he should have, but it would just make more sense to do that and then stick with it, right? Because then at least all the other countries would know, oh man, this guy's serious. I mean, he is stupid, but he is serious about this. So maybe we ought to, do something here. Maybe we ought to actually go in and negotiate. But no, he just punches himself in the face, all right? And then it's just like, yeah, well, I showed you. Now come negotiate. No, that's not how that works. Now, Trump is even more of a joke than he was before. And of course, the only problem here with that is, well, it's the people who are getting affected by this. You've got everyday Americans who are dealing with inflation, as well as actual small businesses that have increased in prices. There's going to be empty shelves at the grocery stores now. And so none of those people are finding this funny at all. And it's not surprising. So there you go. Moving on. President Donald Trump's legally questionable, if not outright illegal deportations, because there's no due process, are quite literally killing people and will likely kill more. On Tuesday, the LA Times shared a story of a family who came to the United States on humanitarian grounds in 2023. They came here to get their 4-year-old daughter some medical treatment that she needed. Now, the young girl was only identified by her initials since she is a minor, SGV. Her mom, 28-year-old Daisy Vargas, who is a Mexican national, and her 34-year-old dad, a Colombian national. That's the family that is currently staying in the United States. Now, they are here legally, okay, and SGV has been receiving care for something called short bowel syndrome at the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles. Now, the family, who again was allowed to be here legally to get that treatment, received a letter last month stating that, oh, you know what? It turns out we're going to take that legal status away. We're taking it away for no reason, and you need to self-deport. Now, okay, now, well, I mean, what's the problem then? Just leave, right? Go get treatment somewhere else. No. If she stops her treatment, she'll be dead in a matter of days. Okay? Her physician, Dr. John Alsinault, wrote a letter stating, quote, that if there is an interruption in her daily nutrition system called the total parenteral nutrition, this could be fatal within a matter of days. Oh, so yeah, she leaves, she dies. That's it. As such, patients on home TPN are not allowed to leave the country because the infrastructure to provide TPN or provide immediate intervention if there is a problem with IV access depends on our program's utilization of U.S.-based healthcare resources and does not transfer across borders. So, look, even if there is another country that has this ability to treat her, that takes time to set up. It takes time, and so she doesn't have that time. Family's attorney, Rebecca Brown, of the firm Public Counsel, said this is a textbook example of medical need. Okay? Now, they petitioned for the continuation of temporary humanitarian legal status with the government. So far, nope. Now, she added, this child will die, and there's no sense for that to happen. It would just be a cruel sacrifice. Well, here's the thing. There is, I'm afraid that there is no amount of cruelty that this administration would not inflict upon an immigrant. I mean, I think that's pretty clear by now. It doesn't matter to them if she is a child. Right now, there are children dying in Gaza, and they don't give a damn. Hell, there are U.S.-born kids that are dying from lack of food and health care in this country, and they don't care. They just passed a bill to cut Medicaid and food stamps, okay? Which will, yes, kill children. That's what'll happen. They don't care. They don't care. And it's not just that children are dying, okay, or could die. There are also adults that are dying or could die as a result of these deportations. Recently, a gay man was deported back to a country where he was literally sexually assaulted. Yes. Look, the man, not identified, okay, came here seeking asylum from Guatemala. He was granted asylum from Guatemala because he went through the process, proved that he was in danger if he stayed in that country. He has no criminal history. He has a damn good reason to be here. And yet, none of it mattered. Even after a judge ruled that, yes, this man, he should stay here because he will likely face persecution and torture is sent back to his home country and was granted a withholding of removal protecting him from deportation, he was still deported. None of it mattered. Now, first, they sent him to Mexico, where he was sexually assaulted, okay, at one point. And then he ended up returning to Guatemala. Well, why did you leave Mexico? Because in 2024, he was, while traveling through the country in order to reach the United States to then claim asylum, he was raped and held for ransom. So, when given the choice between the two countries, I mean, he took apparently the less bad option for him personally, even though both options were pretty bad. So now, where is he at? How's he doing? Well, he's still alive, but his life is not good. In fact, it's pretty terrible. In a declaration submitted to the court last week, the man identified as OCG said that for the last 2 months, he has been living in fear, in hiding, largely staying indoors, and relying on family members to bring him food, groceries, and necessities for fear of being recognized by those who had attacked him previously. Quote, I feel fear and danger anytime I go out. For me, it's not easy. The people who targeted me before know who I am, and they have shown me twice before what they're capable of. I don't want to get attacked a third time. And that third time might be the last time. He added, I can't be gay here, which means I cannot be myself. I cannot express myself, and I am not free. Yeah, the reason he came to the United States is so he could be free to be himself. That's it. I thought we were supposed to be the bastion of freedom here in this country. But no, we're not. It's just very, very clear that we are not the bastion of freedom that we claim to be. Okay? And it's been clear for quite some time. But anyway, now there's another gay asylum seeker, Andre Jose Hernandez Romero, a Venezuelan makeup artist, who was sent to El Salvador, to CICOT. It is very likely that he is not alive right now. But then again, they don't care. They just don't care. They didn't care when Human Rights Watch, back in 2020, released a report finding that nearly 200 people that were deported under Trump's first administration were either harmed or killed after being sent back to El Salvador. So if they didn't care then, well, they won't care now. Innocent people, members of the LGBTQ community, and even children, all right, children with, short bowel, or even with cancer, they're just being sent back to their deaths. Their only crime, not being white. That's it. Not being white. And at the end of the day, you got to understand that this cruelty is what MAGA voted for. I mean, can't really argue with that. What they wanted. All right. President Donald Trump continues to pardon criminals and cheats in exchange for money. I'm pretty sure that should be illegal, if it isn't already. But of course, even if it is illegal, who's going to enforce it? Okay. But recently it was reported by the New York Times that Florida healthcare executive Paul Walshak, who admitted to stealing money earmarked for his employees' taxes, instead, like I said, stole that money to fund his extravagant lifestyle. That man has received a full and unconditional pardon from Donald Trump. And this happened on April 25th. Just weeks after his mother, a Republican donor by the name of Elizabeth Fago, attended a $1 million per head fundraising dinner at Mar-a-Lago. For just $1 million, you too can purchase access to the President of the United States, where you can then beg him for pardon. And it worked. It worked. Oh, it worked so well. He was not only spared from prison time, as he had not had to report to prison yet, okay, for an 18-month sentence. Okay. It also meant that he would not have to pay the nearly $4.4 million in restitution that he was ordered to by the court. So I guess he gets to keep the money that he stole from the government, from the taxpayer. Doge, where are you? We found some fraud. Oh, that's right. You don't really care about that. Okay. So Walczak was, of course, found guilty of not complying with the tax obligations that he's supposed to do, and instead used the withheld taxes to enrich himself for more than a decade. From 2016 to 2019, he withheld more than $7 million in taxes from employees' paychecks without paying the taxes to the IRS. During that time, he used more than $1 million from his business bank accounts to buy a yacht, because, of course. He also put hundreds of thousands of dollars into his personal bank accounts and used business accounts for extravagant purchases at Bergdorf Goodman, Cartier, and Saks. I'm assuming those are high-end stores. I don't know because I'm poor and I don't go to those places. Okay, so I'm just saying. But in total, though, the IRS ended up losing out in more than $10 million in revenue because of this guy. You know, this is exactly why what the billions of dollars that the IRS was given by President Biden, that's what that money was meant to do, to go after people like Walczak, okay? But now, thanks to Donald Trump, the man goes free. As the agency, the IRS now, is targeting Harvard because they refuse to play ball with this criminal administration and their edicts. Okay? So that's what's going on here. Now, in Walczak's pardon application, according to the New York Times, he had argued that his prosecution was motivated by his mother's efforts for Trump. More so than him admitting to stealing money in order to fund his swanky lifestyle. Oh, yes. See, I am a political victim because my mom liked Trump. Now, in his, of course, pardon application, sent it in, and weeks went by with nothing. Okay? But then just 3 weeks after Fago attended the Mar-a-Lago event, Walczak got his pardon. Imagine that. Look, this is pure corruption. Trump, the administration is just pay to play now. Okay? And look, Fago understood the new rules, and she acted according to those rules. By giving Donald Trump money, she secured a pardon for her son. That's it. There's no other explanation here. Donald Trump is corrupt. You give him money and he'll almost certainly help you out. That's it. Now, if you don't give him money, though, like if you're George Santos, for example, or, Tiger King, well, I mean, he's not going to help you because you have nothing to offer him. You didn't pay him. You didn't pay the toll. Sad day for you. But look, this is not the only high-profile pardon that was handed out recently. You're not going to be surprised that there's another high-profile pardon. And now, this included reality stars Todd and Julie Crisley. That was a couple that was convicted of bank fraud and tax evasion. So apparently there were... what is it? All About Crisley or something like that? I don't know. I don't know the show. I don't watch reality TV because it's terrible. Reality is already terrible enough without it being on the television. Okay. Now prosecutors alleged that while presenting themselves as model citizens on their show, of course, the Crisleys engaged in a years-long scheme to enrich themselves at the expense of American taxpayers, which again is not a surprise. At the time, the U.S. Attorney Byung B.J. Pak announced that, quote, Todd and Julie Crisley are charged not only with defrauding a number of banks by fraudulently obtaining millions of dollars in loans, about $30 million, but also with allegedly cheating taxpayers by actively evading paying federal taxes on the money that they have earned. Celebrities, Pak said, face the same justice that everyone does. These are serious federal charges, and they will have their day in court. And, they did for a bit. Not anymore. Now, the irony here, of course, is that it wasn't the Biden Department of Justice that went after the Grizzlies. No. It was Donald Trump's Department of Justice. That's right. This was back in 2019. So what happened? Well, their daughter, Savannah, big Trump person. Okay. She even spoke at the RNC convention and cheerleaded for Donald Trump and helped him get reelected. Oh, and she did that. So, well, of course, would you look at that now? Her parents got a nice fat pardon in return. Wow. What a coincidence, right? No. So once again, proves that Donald Trump is deeply corrupt and he is just helping his friends and his allies. And that's it. While using, of course, the IRS to punish his political enemies. Anyone out there who screamed and cried and, crapped their pants about, oh my God, the IRS is weaponized government. They are suspiciously silent now. I'm just saying. And they ought to be outraged, but of course they're not, because they never really cared about it. Never really cared about corruption. They only cared about themselves. Okay. Shocker. Moving on. Let's go to more Elon Musk whining. That's right. Chief Twit Elon Musk is not happy about the criticism that he's been facing thanks to his work with the Trump administration.
Oh no!
After calling out the GOP's big beautiful bill, yes, for undermining the work of his so-called Department of Government Efficiency, which is neither a real department nor is it making government more efficient. Which Trump tasked, of course, with firing thousands of workers from the federal government. The once special government employee and first buddy is now claiming that he and his task force are being unfairly maligned for the failings of other people. Oh, he told the Washington Post, also owned by fellow billionaire Jeff Bezos, says, Doge is just becoming the whipping boy for everything. So, like, something bad would happen anywhere, and we would get blamed for it, even if we had nothing to do with it. No, that's actually not what happened. Hey, see, here's what happened. Doge fired a bunch of people unlawfully, and then, since they're no longer properly staffed, okay, at these agencies, they fall apart. They can't do what they're supposed to do. For example, at the Social Security Administration, lawyers, statisticians, and other high-ranking agency officials had to be sent from the Baltimore headquarters to some of the regional offices. Why? Well, they had to replace the veterans claims processors that had either been fired or had taken the buyouts from the Trump administration as a result of course, the Doge cuts. Unfortunately, most of the new arrivals didn't actually know how to do the job. I know, big surprise, right? Which led, of course, to longer wait times for disabled and elderly Americans who depend on these benefits, according to two people familiar with the situation. At the IRS, the internet ended up not working. It became very patchy. They would constantly disconnected from it. And that is since President Trump ordered the remote workers back to the overcrowded offices. And it got so bad that staffers had to resort to creating their own personal internet hotspots in order to do their job. Okay. Their computers were crashing. They're crashing everywhere. And this was at the height of tax processing season, according to two IRS officials that spoke to Reuters. Those are just two of the agencies that were affected by these cuts. Of course, you've got USAID, you've got many others that were hit even worse. Okay. And then, of course, I'm not even talking about the court cases where people were ordered back to work to then get fired. And no, not even on any of that. Okay. And that just makes the situation that much worse. Okay. And yet, Musk is over here saying, oh, golly gee, you know, we had no idea that any of this would happen. How dare you blame me for it? It's not our fault. What? What? Really? No, not only that, but speaking about the on the day that yet another one of his SpaceX launches ended with what you could only describe as a rapid, unscheduled disassembly, a fiery one at that. Musk expressed some dismay about how his role with Doge has led to an intense backlash against his companies, specifically Tesla. Now, the boycotts in Europe of Tesla have led to, or at least contributed to, a sales crash of about 50%. Oops. Now, he told the Post, people were burning Teslas. Why would you do that? That's really uncool. Are you sure they weren't just lighting themselves on fire? I mean, I heard that they do have a tendency to do that. Those Teslas, you know, just spontaneous combustion. Okay, to be fair, though, no, spontaneous combustion doesn't happen often to electric vehicles. It actually happens less to electric vehicles than they do to gas-powered cars. In fact, there was actually a total of 60 fire-related Tesla incidents from 2013 through 2021. So generally, electric cars, when it comes to fires, are a little bit safer. That said, if there is a fire, it does end up lasting longer due to the construction of the battery. So, that said, wank panzers, swastikars, they're actually more likely to just fall apart than they are to catch on fire. To be fair. Okay. And you know what? I actually do agree. It's not cool to set them on fire because, well, that could hurt innocent people, right? Innocent bystanders. You don't want to do that. I mean, I'm just saying. Now, that said, he's not done crying. Oh, no. He said that his work with Doge has proven to be more difficult than he anticipated. Aww. The old-fashioned has a sad. Great. Now, remember, he said, oh, you know, it's going to be so easy for me to find waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. I mean, it is just loaded with it. Oh, my God. So easy. But it turns out, no, it's actually much more difficult if you were only looking at welfare. That's it. Understand that our welfare programs are some of the most intensely scrutinized programs like ever. Okay? Elon Musk is not the first person that looked at programs that were designed to help poor people and thought, oh man, that is so full of waste. Wow, look at all, wow, it's got to be filled with waste, fraud, and abuse. In reality, it shows how they just hate the idea of money going to poor people at all. Look, this entire thing goes back even before Ronald Reagan and his welfare queen lie. And so, you know, it's been a long time. Okay. Our welfare programs, again, our safety net is so shredded. It's essentially Swiss cheese. Okay. And by the way, you know, Democrats have made these programs very, very tight with means testing. Okay. So it is very difficult not only to get on these programs, but also to actually do waste, fraud, and abuse. Just saying. Now, that said, if you're only looking there at welfare programs and you're not looking at oil subsidies or government contracts like with SpaceX or anything like that, you're not going to find much. You're really not. But he said this, quote, the federal bureaucracy situation is much worse than I realized. I thought there were problems, but it sure is an uphill battle. Trying to improve things in D.C., to say the least. You know what? Ironically, I actually do agree with that statement. Wow. Yes, Turns out it is an uphill battle. But that is because of people like you. And I'm not saying Musk specifically, although he is part of the problem. The big problem is the donors. They're armies of lobbyists. That's the real problem here. They are the ones that allow for the real waste, fraud, and abuse to happen. For example, the Pentagon. The Pentagon cannot pass an audit with their near $1 trillion budget. Okay? That's where a lot of this waste is. Planes that don't work. Okay? The boondoggle of that jet, I believe it's F-35. Okay? Then you have private military contractors that actually cost so much more, that cost us so much more than they would have to pay if they did things in-house. Okay? With their own members. I mean, for example, in 2022 alone, the Defense Department spent over $400 billion on military contractors. That's nearly half of that year's budget. Okay? That reliance on contractors often results in, of course, significantly higher costs, as contractors are frequently paid far more than the military personnel, even if they're doing the same jobs. Okay? And look, it also has a lack of oversight. That means a lot of contracts go unchecked, unscrutinized. That leads to fraud, overbilling, and waste. Doge, where are you? Where are you? It also leads to conflicts of interest. And you're not going to be surprised to learn that many Pentagon officials end up moving directly into high-paying defense contractor jobs once they leave government service. You wouldn't be shocked at all. Okay, that is the waste, fraud, and abuse. And Musk completely ignored it. Why? Because guess what? He is a private contractor with government contracts. Of course. Now, that said, he criticized the big, beautiful bill, as I mentioned. And that big, beautiful bill is not big or beautiful, okay? But that adds $150 billion in military spending that will, of course, go to the majority of it to defense contractors. So now, that, of course, big, beautiful bill was there mainly to cut taxes on the rich. Now, here's what he said about it. Quote, I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit. Again, most of that is from tax cuts. Not just decreases it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing, Musk said during an interview with CBS News. I think a bill can be big, or it could be beautiful, but I don't know if it could be both. Well, let me tell you what, it is big, but it's a big waste. That's about it. All right. Speaking of big wastes, Doge, total waste of time. They promised Musk $2 trillion in savings, right? Then, of course, oh, shoot. I guess I over promised. So now it's a $1 trillion. Yes, we could say $1 trillion. It's from contracts that were already complete, or contracts that weren't even actually canceled. Okay. As I mentioned, of course, Trump's bill adds about $3.8 trillion to the deficit, according to the CBO. So, yeah. What's
Whoopsie.
that? Yeah, exactly. So much for that. Now, that said, he's not done. Musk says, well, even though I'm no longer a special government employee, I still plan to, allocate some of my time working with Doge. Although he says, I'm not going to do the chainsaw so much as I'm going to try to improve their tech support. Oh, of course. Yeah, of course he is. Now, on Tuesday, he told Ars Technica, quote, I think I probably did spend a bit too much time on politics. No kidding. It's less than people would think, though, because the media is going to overrepresent any political stuff. Because political bones of contention get a lot of traction in the media. It's not like I left the companies. It was just relative time allocation that was probably a little too high on the government side, and I've reduced that significantly in recent weeks. Not significantly enough. But here's the thing. He doesn't have to do anything else, okay, because he already got his return on investment. That's it. His companies, they're no longer under investigation. He's going to get a massive tax cut if that bill passes. And, of course, he's already in line to get more government contracts, including the massively wasteful Golden Dome idea. And not only that, but he also has the personal information of many taxpayers and to do who knows what with. I don't know what he's going to do with it. So he's got everything that he wanted, except for one thing. And this is what gets his goat the most. He does not have the majority of people that are kissing his ass. No. Polls show him to be massively unpopular. And I think that is the one thing that he wants more than anything now. Okay? He wants people to like him. That's it. I mean, he wants the world to think of him not only as a genius, of course, but perhaps even a savior. All right? And remember, people like him have a deep desire to be in. And you stop thinking, I mean, you get to a certain point of being rich, and you stop thinking about wealth. It stops being about the wealth, and it starts being about the ego. Now, of course, the wealth helps with the ego, obviously, but still, it mainly becomes about, I want people to love me and to see me as the genius, the job-creating genius, savior of humanity. That's what Musk wants to be seen as, okay? And look, now he knows how little the public actually likes him. And it makes him cry. It does. And of course, he goes and he whines to the Bezos-owned Washington Post, of all places, because, it's owned by another out-of-touch, pro-Trump, rich guy who likes to shoot rockets. So, not really a surprise that he's going there, and I guess other places, to sit there and whine about how nobody likes me. Sad day for you, sir. But you kind of earned it. Okay. True love can't be bought. True. Very true. All right. Last story here. Wow. Blowing right through it. Oh boy. Some ex-staffers for Representative Nancy Mace are once again spilling the tea about the South Carolina Republican. This time, talking about how she says that she knows so much about technology. However, she actually really doesn't. But apparently knows just enough to use it to try to promote herself, because that's what it's all about. In fact, one of several former Mace staffers who spoke with Wired said, and this is about her boasts about, oh, I am so, good with technology. Oh, I'm a genius, right? She said, or they said, quote, I would say it was at least a weekly comment, if not daily. That's right. So she would sit there and brag about how good she was with computers and the internet to her staffers every single day. That would annoy the piss out of me. All right. Seriously. Now, another found her high regard for her skills, somewhat at odds with her demonstrated ability. Because, of course, right? Yeah, it turns out you are bragging about something, about being such a good computer genius, so good at this stuff. And then it turns out, no, you're really not. And when you try to show me something, it's like, oh yeah, I know people that can do that already. So you're nothing special, Nancy. All right. Now, they added that the main usage of her skills was, get this, setting up burner accounts on various social media platforms to monitor what people are saying about Nancy Mace and then to argue with them if they say negative things. That's it. They also say that she had told staffers, you better set up your own burner accounts to defend her online. Oh, and there you go. In fact, here's the quote. We had to make multiple accounts, burner accounts, and go and reply to comments, saying things that weren't true. Even Reddit forums, a former staffer says. We were congressional staff, and there were actual things we could be doing to help the constituents. Yeah, oh yeah, no, definitely. But you know what? None of those things help Nancy Mace. Ah, yes, that's right. Understand that everything Nancy Mace does helps Nancy Mace. That's the whole point of it. Okay. Look, recently, she even showed a naked silhouette of herself during a House subcommittee hearing on surveillance. Why would she do that? I'm not entirely sure. I know that she is on the warpath against her ex-fiancé, that South Carolina businessman Patrick Bryant. She accused him of physically assaulting her and of possessing images of underage girls. This is back at a floor speech in February. So those are very serious allegations. In fact, during her speech, she alleged that 3 other men had committed various other crimes, including sexual abuse, sex trafficking, and taking video of these acts without their consent. These are all incredibly serious allegations that could destroy lives, and I really, really hope she is not out there making these allegations flippantly in order to help her image. I mean, I want to believe people who come out and say and make these allegations, right? But in the case of Nancy Mace, it's a little hard for me to do so. Okay, and that makes me feel terrible. Okay, because I want to believe victims, and if she is a victim, my God, yes, it's Nancy Mace, but she would deserve justice. Everybody does. Doesn't matter who she is. But like at the same time, can you really trust her word? I don't know anymore. Okay. Now, Bryant and the 3 other men have so far denied Mace's accusations. And so, again, if these accusations are not true, then that's defamation. You were trying to destroy these people's lives. And that's not cool either. Okay. So now, in late 2023, before Mace's House speech, obviously, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division had began an investigation into these allegations of assault, harassment, and voyeurism. Okay, so they're already looking into it. Now, in an unrelated deposition, which was conducted by Bryant's lawyers, the Congresswoman's passion for technology and alleged use of Twitter burner accounts came up. Interesting. Now, the terms hack and hacking appear a combined 13 times during the deposition given by Wesley Donahue. Now, Donahue's firm did consulting work for Mace in 2022 and her 2024 re-election campaigns before he says he fired her as a client. Yeah, fired her. Now, Donahue said in the deposition, quote, "You need to know that Nancy Mace is quite the, when I use the word nerd or geek, it's always favorable, but a computer nerd or a computer geek." This was, again, reported by Fitz News, a conservative South Carolina outlet. Quote, "She programs her own bots. She sets up Twitter burner accounts. This is kind of the thing that she does. She sits all night on the couch and programs